On the 15th of August 1977, the Big Ear Radio Observatory telescope, built and assigned for the purpose of detecting extraterrestrial signals from SETI, picked up an unexplained strong signal from somewhere in the deep space region of the Sagittarius constellation. It was a powerful, narrowband flash of radio energy lasting 72 seconds, measured at just under 10 kHz. Its detection caused global excitement and prompted many to assume that it was some sort of extraterrestrial communication. Even now, nobody knows what caused the WOW signal's emission, but it is widely regarded as one of the strongest signs that we may not be alone ever recorded. But in the decades since its detection and several subsequent surveys to find a repeating signal, nothing has ever been found. With so many answered questions and no concrete explanation coming close, humanity has been asking the question for 40 years. Did Earth accidentally intercept an intelligent radio signal? In 1973, Ohio State University assigned their own radio observatory, a radio telescope nicknamed Big Ear, to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, the world's largest and most dedicated organisation solely for the purpose of searching for intelligent alien life. This radio telescope would provide an ear to the skies, picking up any faint, distant or intended signals that potential civilizations might send in Earth's direction. Astronomer Jerry R. Ehman was assigned to the project, working as a volunteer sieving through large amounts of data processed by the Big Ear's IBM 1130 central computer printed out on lined printer paper. These papers used alphanumeric codes to represent intensity variations in the signals the Big Ear picked up. While only able to be adjusted vertically, Big Ear relies on the rotation of the Earth as a mechanism to scan the skies, listening out for any signs, messages or whispers. And at 16 minutes past 10 on the evening of the 15th of August, Ehman spotted an extremely intense variation in the continuous recording, which stunned his entire department. The signal, marked as 6EQUJ5, represented various changes in intensity. A character in the sequence determines the intensity of signals between 0 and 1, which is normal background noise when listening to the sky, and the numbers 1 to 9 represent numbered intensities. At the peak of this 72-second signal, marked with the letter U, the intensity of the incoming signal was between 30 and 31, approximately 30 times as strong as normal background noise. Ehman was so astonished that, after circling the signal on lined paper, he wrote the word WOW next to it, thus coining its better-known nickname, the WOW signal. This signal is regarded by many as some sort of message or communication, but it was actually just a strong, unmodulated and continuous wave that was determined to contain no encoded information. Essentially just a flash of radio energy, 30 times stronger than normal signals, and originating somewhere in interstellar space. Given it was just a series of fluctuations in intensity, there is no SETI-endorsed audio recording of the WOW signal, despite numerous videos on the web. But if the signal had been recorded, it might have been something like this. Take a listen. Regardless of structure, the nature of the signal opened the door for endless possibilities for its origin and became a popular feature in science fiction and other pop culture. For those who genuinely believed this could have been made by aliens, the hunt was on to find a repeat of the signal, and several surveys and searches were conducted in the years following. After the WOW signal received attention from the scientific community, astronomers set to work trying to find the signal again. The first barrier was a lack of a definite location of origin. In very simple terms, Big Ear points to the sky with two horns, and it was impossible to tell which of the points the signal was picked up on, and this means that the signal could have originated in one of 2 points. However, both points, and indeed the general region, were surveyed relentlessly and all to no avail. Ehman himself continued the search for a few months, scanning the area to pick something up again, but alas, there was nothing out of the ordinary. A decade later, Robert Gray joined the hunt for the WOW signal when he used the Meta Array Telescope at the Oak Ridge Observatory to survey the area and detected nothing also. In 1995, just before the launch of Project Argus, SETI Executive Director H. Paul Schuch tested out new detection software SETI would be using for a project by listening out at both sets of proposed coordinates, and he also came up with nothing. A year later, Robert Gray continued searching the area using the Very Large Array Radio Telescope, which is considerably more sensitive to signals than the Big Ear, but in no less than 6 14-hour observations of the area, nothing was detected. The lack of any additional evidence caused many to lose interest, and even SETI went on record as saying that a lack of a repeat means that the WOW signal lacks credibility. There are some who are still convinced that the signal was genuine and was extraterrestrial, but regardless of the answer, it seems that our chance to record the signal for further research has passed. Of course, such an intense, unexplained signal from deep space would cause all manner of reaching and hysterical theories, but over the past 4 decades, the alternative explanations have been looked into. The first theory was that it was a misinterpreted signal from Earth. After over 50 searches of the area all coming up blank, Eamon was quoted as saying that if it were a legitimate intelligent transmission, then we would have picked it up again by now. A fair hypothesis, but then he said instead that it was probably an Earthborne signal that had been reflected off of a piece of space debris that was misinterpreted as an alien civilization trying to contact Earth. Though it sounds ad hoc, terrestrial interference is not impossible. The HD 164595 signal, a much more powerful signal recorded in 2016 that sparked an alien controversy, was debunked to have been most likely due to a military satellite accidentally interfering with a radio telescope. However, in the case of the WOW signal, further research proved that this theory was unlikely due to the impeccably convenient nature of space debris you'd have to adopt in order to record a signal in said manner, forcing Eamon to retract his comment. The next theory was one posed last year by Antonio Paris, and for a while this was viewed as the most likely and probably the correct solution, and this was that a hydrogen cloud between 2 comets caused the radio flash that was picked up. Before the recording of the signal in 1959, Cornell physicists Philip Morrison and Giuseppe Conacini proposed that aliens might also communicate via radio signals like us at 1420 MHz, which is naturally emitted by hydrogen. Given hydrogen is the most common element in the universe, we'd expect any advanced civilizations to have a fundamental understanding of hydrogen at the very least, and this is the way that they'd communicate across space. This led to the conclusion that this was the cause of the signal, the hydrogen cloud, surrounding 2 comets known to be in similar positions to the origin point when the WOW signal was recorded. This was a fairly airtight theory, and for a while many thought it was case closed, but Paris had been met with strong objection as a result, even from members of the original Big Ear team on that day, saying that this theory couldn't be possible, as not only were the comets in question ruled to not be beaming at the time of the signal's recording, but the 2 comets are also not radio bright, and therefore Big Ear wouldn't have been able to pick it up. With both of these theories dismissed, there is still no solid answer or even a definite contender. In 2012, scientific skeptic author Brian Dunning concluded that a radio transmission from deep space is still the most likely theory, but this by no means proves any form of extraterrestrial life was behind it or that it was created artificially. This means that still, over 40 years on, no one has even come close to understanding what caused the WOW signal, but the theory of aliens is still put forward, and though we always talk about an outside possibility of aliens for unexplained phenomena, some people genuinely believe that this could be the most credible indicator of alien life in human history. If signals could travel infinite distances without losing intensity, then perhaps we would have more of a cause for alien life, but eventually, once a signal travels so far, it becomes undetectable and unreadable. With that in mind, a signal emerging from an area of space such as where the WOW signal was recorded would have had an enormous level of projection behind it for the intensity to be recorded as it was. Some believe that potential civilizations may have, in theory, equipment to project at this intensity. We've covered Dyson structures in terms of theoretical machinery that Type 2 and 3 civilizations might possess, but something else we forecast that may exist in the technological array of advanced civilizations is what's known as an isotropic beacon, a hypothetical projector of sorts for an alien race to project across huge distances by emitting uniform electromagnetic fields, essentially a megaphone to the stars, detectable by ears to the sky such as our radio telescopes here on Earth. Some believe that this kind of machinery could be the cause of signals like the WOW signal, just as KIC 846 brought the concept of a Dyson sphere into the public conscience. It was the previously mentioned HD 164595 signal that called the existence of an isotropic beacon into question. Though the HD signal was proven to be Earthborne, the concept of an isotropic beacon could go some way to explaining signals like the WOW signal. Some argue that such a distinctive signal travelling such a long distance would need some serious strength behind it. However, the paradox here would be an almost guaranteed recursion of the event if a civilization were to have this kind of technology. However, this isn't necessarily the case. Given the estimated distance the signal would have to travel and still be detectable, an isotropic beacon does open the door to the idea that it may have been a one-time super powerful signal for a civilization calling out through the depths of space. And with other ideas ranging from a radio flash from a passing vessel to a civilization just beginning to discover radio capabilities, there are endless other possibilities that could explain the WOW signal if you believe it was extraterrestrial. But our own actions following the event could mirror the WOW signal if indeed it was alien. Many years ago, we projected the Arecibo transmission, where we beamed a sequence of numbers into a similar area, and the transmission is expected to reach the predicted area of space in 25,000 years' time. Also in 2012, to mark the 35th anniversary of the detection, we sent another 3-minute transmission from the Arecibo Observatory of approximately 10,000 tweets with the hashtag #ChasingUFOs, along with some celebrity voiceovers at 20 times the power of commercial radio transmission. If the WOW signal was indeed a civilization calling out, asking if anyone was there, we answered, and we have called back. But in the vastness of space, this may put some serious time constraints on any hope of back and forth meaningful communication between us and another entity. In short, there is a definite possibility that this transmission came from deep space and wasn't an error on our systems, but there is no evidence to suggest it wasn't a natural phenomena, or not what we perceive to be aliens. The lack of any additional evidence or additional signals in 40 years of searching has started to wear credibility of this event down, but it will always still be a fascinating event in astronomical history. If it did originate from an extraterrestrial civilization, then it was not a shout, more of a whisper, a murmur in the depths of space, and most likely not a decodable message meant to be interpreted by us. But whatever the case, it was and remains an absolutely astonishing discovery in astronomy, and if nothing else, the event fully lives up to its name. Wow. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can be alerted when more documentaries are released. Thanks a lot guys, remember to keep reaching for the stars.